I'm Teresa Gingles, and I'm here to share with you about my recent trip to Africa. Uh, we work with Young Living Essential Oils, and we connected with a group called Who Lives. It stands for Water, Health, and Opportunity. And so, with these two organizations, we have worked together to try to see what we can do to change life for some people in Africa. So, Young Living, the Young Living Foundation, and Who Lives got together for a trip to Mombasa, Kenya. And my husband David and I joined them. So, I just want to share our experience, what we saw, what we experienced on this trip. We left on September the 10th and flew to Paris. From Paris, we flew to Amsterdam, from Amsterdam to Nairobi, from Nairobi to Mombasa. When we arrived there, we were met by a girl that went by the name Grace. We can't pronounce her African name, but Grace was there. She's 23. She was set up. John Renard is over Who Lives, and he set Grace up to take care of us when we arrived. So David and myself and cousin that came as our photographer all traveled together, and then John and Nikki Renard and Sonia Jorgensen and Jonathan Lee from the Wild Foundation met us the next day. When Grace met us and took us to the village, it's Rabai village outside of Mombasa, Kenya. And we had no clue what we were getting into. We never had any desire to go to Africa. We wanted to help get clean, fresh, safe water to people, but we had no desire to visit the country. We're in our 60s, that was not on our bucket list. But as things progressed, we saw that we actually needed to go and join this expedition. So we get there having no clue what we're getting into, what it's like, never even imagined being there. And Grace takes us to this village, and they had set up a local family, had a house there, an actual house with floors and walls, and it wasn't a mud hut. It had a bathroom that worked semi-well, a shower that worked sometimes, and we had a bucket with a scoop to pour water over us for a shower. But the house was very great for us. There was the lady of the house, Miriam, took care of us. She cooked our meals. She had bedrooms set up. So we get there, and the women have a bedroom with bunk beds, and each bed has the mosquito netting over it. The men had a bedroom for themselves the same way. And so they told us to go in and take a nap and get ready because we had an adventure for the afternoon. So they speak Swahili and English. We speak English, so we understood them when they wanted us to. Otherwise, we had no clue what they were saying. But we went in and took our short nap and got up, and they said they fed us lunch, and then they wanted to take us to the local watering hole. So now you have to know that Miriam, the lady of the house, cooks in a tiny, tiny kitchen that has a little pot. She sat on the floor, and there was a little pot that sat on top of charcoal, and she cooked our meals on it, and they were wonderful meals. She was just such a gracious hostess. So anyway, we had our meal of rice and bananas and watermelon and some kind of lentil beans, and it was delicious. Then we said we would walk to the watering hole. This is where they have dammed up a pond, and they have put pipes in it and have a faucet so the local women can get water to carry back to their homes. So they said that it was quite a walk and asked if we were up to it, and we said absolutely. So we headed out having no idea how far this was going to be or how rugged and rocky and dirty it was going to be. But we were also told that children would start following us, and when we got back to the house, we may have 100 with us. And well, we didn't know how that was going to look. I mean, we are really lost in this whole scene. But we follow the guide down and walk to this watering hole, and children start coming from everywhere. Now, there are acres and acres of land in this village, and every once in a while you'll see a mud hut. You may see 2 or 3 together, you may just see one, and they're all scattered everywhere. And everywhere we went, people were yelling at us because they had not seen white people before. But they were grinning and they were waving, and the children were running to walk with us. So by the time we got to the watering hole, there were a lot of children there, but there were a lot of women already there getting their water. And I learned so much at that place. I had no idea. I went to Kenya thinking that yes, we want to get fresh, clean water, safe water to these people because they're dying from and have so many diseases because they have no clean water. But in my mind, I wanted to get it convenient for them. I had seen pictures, I'd seen videos of these women walking everywhere with the 5 gallon, I say 5 gallon, I don't even know how much they weigh, but these huge jerry cans and buckets on top of their head. And in my mind, I wanted to get them faucets at their house so they didn't have to carry anything. But I stood there for about an hour watching what was going on, and I saw women coming in groups of 3 and 4, and they were laughing and they were talking, and they would fill their jerry can up and they would situate it on top of their head. Each of them helped, they all helped each other. And then it was like this social event. It was almost like they were proud, showing each other what they could do, how they could balance. And I realized watching, these women don't really want to give this up. They really enjoy having this time together, that they walk together, and this is their culture, to carry the water on top of their heads, and they learned that from very young ages. Laura, our relative that was with us, tried it, and they filled her bucket up less than half full, put it on top of her head, and 15 seconds later it fell. I mean, we are not balanced. I didn't even try it because I watched her. But after seeing all this, I was so impressed with the strength and the poise and the posture of these women and the joy and the fun they were having. So they were laughing at us because we had no clue, because we didn't know how to do it. They were laughing at us, and we were laughing with them because they were enjoying this so much. And so I learned standing there that this is part of who they are. This is part of their culture. And we don't want to change who they are. I would love to see us be able to get the water clean. When they carry it that far, to have it clean and safe is major. And I would love to see it be closer so they don't have to walk 3 to 5 miles. I don't even know how far these women were walking, but the terrain is rocky and it's hard, and it has to be really hard on their bodies. But they do this so much that takes so much of their time. They could be doing other things. So I just watched them in surprise, because I went there thinking one thing, and within an hour my whole thinking was changed. So we left there and we walked a full huge circle back to the house we stayed at, and the people were correct. There were children following us. We felt like the Pied Pipers. They were hanging on to us, they were touching us, they wanted to hold our hand, they wanted to give us high fives. They were just so excited to see us, and so kind. The women, we could look across the field, and all we saw was just the rugged terrain and a few shrubs and brown. It was just, everything was brown except the women, and they are dressed with such color and such fun. Just scattered throughout the area, you would see bright colors, and it was the women outside watching us, and they would just wave with big smiles. So we walked back, and all the children followed us, and we got there, and they played in the yard of the home we stayed at, and then around dark they disappeared. So John and Nikki and Sonia and Jonathan all arrived during the middle of the night that night. They were exhausted. They crawled into bed dirty just like we were, and all of us slept. The next morning we got up and had breakfast, and of course, again, Miriam had taken good care of us. She had fixed a great breakfast, and then we all got in this van that is a safari van, and I think it probably had air conditioning in the front, but at the back of that van there was no air conditioning, so we kept the windows open, and dirt was flying everywhere. I've never been so filthy, felt so ugly in my entire life as I did on this trip. And I've never been filmed so much, because Laura went as our photographer, and she filmed us. She took pictures as the most gross looking group that I could ever imagine. But in the midst of all that, it was the most amazing adventure. David and I have been to Croatia and France and Italy and Guatemala and Ecuador and Niagara Falls and Banff, Canada, and so many other places, China. We've been so many places around the world the last 10 years. And they're beautiful places. They're amazing, gorgeous scenery and just stunning places. But I've never had an adventure like I had in Mombasa, Kenya. to see the people, to see their strength, to experience their joy and their kindness just floored me. It shocked me. It was not what I expected. I expected them to look at us and then go on about their business. And you know, they did. They had things to do. But they took time to treat us special. They were kind. They were kind to each other. It was just an amazing experience that I know I will return to one day. So the next day we went to a clinic. We were there to drill a well to get fresh water to a village. And the preference is always to get the well near a school so that the young girls can walk to the school, do their classwork, and then get water and take it home so they don't have to miss school just to get water. But this village had gotten together and together had built a clinic, a medical clinic that has a great structure. It's really a very pleasant place. It has a delivery room, it has examination rooms for people to stay overnight, but it has no electricity and no safe water. So there's really not much that they can use it for yet. This is a very new building. They just built it recently, but now they need those two things. So they voted and chose for us to put this well at the clinic instead of a school. So we went there that day to choose a location on the property to find the best place. And first we met with the people that are over the village. I don't even know what they're called, but like a council of men and women that are the head of the village. And we met with them and told them what we wanted. They shared with us their desires. All the people in the village were on the porch and they met us and we played with the children and we laughed with them and took pictures and they were just delightful. And then it starts the process of finding the best place for the water. And John Renard is an amazing man. I'm shocked every time I'm around him. He's fun, he's down to earth, he's so humble. You would never know what all this man's done. But he has this app on his phone that he randomly got, another story altogether. But this app can show where the water is underground. So he put it in 4 or 5 different locations around the clinic, and he found the best source and put a marker there so that the drillers could come in the next day and start. So we left there and knowing that this is the beginning. We get to watch what happens. So we left and we went to a school. And when we got there, we didn't get to go all the way to the school because they knew we were coming. And they had a group of all the children meeting us on the road, and it was several city blocks from the school. I don't know how far it was, but they were there and they had blocked the road so we couldn't even get by. So, and during that time, we got out of the van and they start grabbing us and they start singing and they sang to us and I mean, the singing was beautiful. And then we left there and they walked us to the school. And one of the reasons we were there was because we needed to see what a school was like that does not have fresh water. And this is a school with a few hundred students. Even the preschool kindergarten had 60-something kids, and 30-something were little bitty boys. But they were so well behaved, and the teacher had total control. Everything was just delightful. So we watched to see what was going on there, to see how it is. And they managed with joy. The teachers were fun. They were laughing. They were having fun. They had lunch for us. They cut coconuts and put straws in them so we could drink fresh coconut milk. They just treated us so special, like they cared about us. We left there. We go back to the house and we spend the evening there with all of the children and have a great meal and sleep. I mean, I've never been so dirty and slept so well under the mosquito nets in this room in Mombasa, Kenya. So the next day we have a new adventure. John said we are going to take a trip to a different school and it will take about 2.5-hour drive. Well, all of us know what that van is by now, and it's not comfortable. The roads just bounce you everywhere. But we needed to go see the school, and we didn't know the significance of it. But we left there, and every little while someone would say, "How much further is it?" "Oh, about 34 kilometers. Well, a little while later, about 34 kilometers. I mean, we kept hearing this, and we were thinking 2 to 2.5 hours, and it was about probably close to 6 hours later, we arrive at the school. We are nasty and dirty and, I mean, filthy. We have bounced on those rocky roads so much. The driver was amazing. It's shocking to ride in that country, but he knew what he was doing, and I would just hold my breath when a truck would be coming toward us, and he would swerve off, and it was all safe and great. But we get to the school, and they have lunch for us, and then they let us share in the classrooms with the girls. This is a boarding school of 410 girls. A lot of them are teenage girls. A vast majority are probably teenage girls. They live here. It's a boarding school. So when we got through in the classrooms, which was just fun watching them participate with us with the little science projects, we got through and they said that we could go and see the well. This well had been dug, I think, in April. And prior to that, there were no crops. They were having to buy their produce for all 410 girls. But when we walked out there, we saw corn growing and onions and peas and all kinds of vegetables. They had crops growing everywhere. So we get to the well and we're standing there and realize after they talked to us that they didn't have any of this until they got fresh water. But since now they had water, they could grow crops. What had happened previously was they were using rainwater for food to cook with. They had no water to grow crops with. They could walk, I don't remember how far it was, to a local river, but the river was crocodile infested, so that was not very smart or convenient. So these 410 girls living together had no fresh water. And we stood there and we talked to them, and the head mistress, I'm not even sure what the title is, but we asked her, what is the main thing that this well did for your school? What is the most significant thing that you've found since getting this well? And she said, the girls get to shower. And it hit me all of a sudden. Oh my word, these are 410 girls, that the majority of them have a monthly period. And they have no way to clean themselves. They have no hygiene. This woman didn't mention the crops first. She didn't mention food first. She didn't mention anything except the girls get to shower. And I thought, what amazing, amazing change in their whole life. So now they are able to grow crops. They're able to cook with fresh water, safe water. They are able to shower. Their whole world has changed. Once they grow enough of the crops, they may be able to sell some. I mean, we were talking about the potential when we left there, the potential since they got that one well, what can happen in that school. And once the crops start growing and they have so much food and they don't need it all, they can make money by selling it. They can make money in so many ways just by having that one well. So we left there thrilled that we had driven that 6 hours, and we knew we had to go back the same way. We get back and we eat and crash, go back to bed. The next day we start over. We go back to the clinic and we see what's going on, and the drill is set up. We get to participate watching what's been going on. We see the mud pit, whatever it is, that is to the side. We just watch all of the little details that are happening to start drilling for water. And then I start listening to John Renard and Jonathan Lee talking, and we actually do an interview with them and find out so much that the whole goal is not to get one well in a village. The goal is to set up co-ops so these people can own their own drill. They can drill wells all over the village. So, because the village is so many acres, it's not like I had in mind. It's a big area. And the goal is to get wells dug all over the area so that they don't have to walk so far. It's more convenient for them. It doesn't take up all that time. And they have possibility of income, of economy. There is no economy. The women work hard. These are the strongest, most amazing women I've ever seen in my life. They work from 4 in the morning until they go to bed at night. I'm still not sure what the men do. They sit a lot, but the women work hard. So if these women could develop a co-op and maybe cost them, I don't even understand it all, but if it cost them $2 a month, and several of them got together and they could develop economy for themselves, for their community, this is life-changing. This is changing for generations to come. and we get to participate in it. So this trip that I never intended to go on, that I was surprised that we were going on, was one of the most amazing experiences in my whole life. And I will go back. We left there, we went to a resort, we went on a safari. All of that was wonderful. But one of the days, we had a 2-day safari schedule, but one of the days of the safari we canceled because we wanted to go back and check on the drill. It was more important to all of us to see what's happening with the drill than it was to be on the safari. So we went back. Right now they still don't have the water yet because they hit rock. And when you're over there and something breaks on the drill, you can't just fix it. You have to wait, and you have to go get it, and you have to go get parts. And so they're making adjustments, and they're changing, and we're all excited because one day in the next few days we're going to hear that water is at the clinic. Water is there, and they're able to use it, and people can deliver their babies now in the delivery room because they have clean, fresh water to work with. So this adventure was more than I can ever say. I am so grateful to Who Lives and to the YL Foundation. The Young Living Foundation was just kind of testing to see what this is about, and they invited us to go with them. So I am grateful for these two organizations that put this together and gave David and me the honor to participate, to be part of it. So just wanted to share with you.